Hi everyone, my name's Rosie Heydenrych. I'm a guitar maker based in Surrey, England. I thought I'd do a little video for you guys for the Fretboard Journal with a little tour of my workshop, and I thought, like TJ Thompson, I'd start outside and introduce you to my equine friends who also rent space. I currently work in a business centre here, which is in a very nice setting, you'll see. And this up there is my workshop, and I'm about to expand into there as well, which is quite exciting. So I will, my equine friends want to come and say hello, so we'll say hi guys, good to see you. So it's a little bit quieter here than normal because most people are at home due to the coronavirus outbreak. And normally it's actually quite a bit noisier here because I'm on the flight path to Gatwick. I'm about 15 minutes away from Gatwick. So if any of you guys fly into Gatwick, you literally have no excuse not to come and see me. But yeah, they're not really flying at the moment, so it's pretty quiet, and me and these guys are, well, there's a furniture guy over there, but apart from that, it's just us here. So I've been here for about 5 years. And I started in this small workshop, moved into a slightly bigger one when it became available, and now I'm about to move back into the smaller one again with the bigger one, so expanding, as they say. So I'm gonna, here we are, the entrance. So not the golf shop, that's not me, nor the fireplace and stove centre. Here we are, Turnstone Guitar Company. So up the stairs, and the one thing, actually I'll wait till I get to the top till I start talking. So the one thing I would probably suggest to any luthier thinking of finding a space is think twice before choosing to go up a flight of stairs, because when I first moved in here, all I had were hand tools, a small bandsaw and a pillar drill, so it wasn't really much of a big deal to get stuff up the stairs. But as I have started to get a bit more of equipment, bigger bandsaws, planers, getting it up those stairs served to be quite the challenge. So I would definitely recommend, if you can get a downstairs shop, then do that. So as you walk into my workshop, one of the first things you see is what I like to refer to as my tool wall. It's actually one of the first things that I built moving into my smaller workshop next door, as a handy way of having all my tools out organised so I don't lose them, which has served a great purpose, and I continue to use it frequently to this day. Moving on, we've got my spec sheets on for the guitars that I'm working on, my model sizes. This John Deere toolbox is, much to my husband's dismay, a little bit of a collection of things that I don't really know where else to put them. So that's kind of on the agenda when I'm sorting stuff out to move next door as well, and that's on my target list. My array of tapes, my speakers, which are very important for any shop to be able to listen to music, podcasts, the Fretboard Journal podcast, there we go, there's a nice name drop there, my to-do list. So moving on to the more machinery-based side of the room, which, as you can imagine, these were the particular offenders when I was trying to get them up the stairs. Proved to be an interesting challenge. So yeah, we've got the planer down there, dust extractor, the router table. We have what I lovingly refer to as my sanding station, with all my spindle, disc, belt sanders, which come in most handy when shaping things. My drum sander behind there for a lot of the thicknessing activities that go on in here. And my 2 bandsaws. And I guess, as you can probably see, this is a reasonably small space that I'm in. And a key thing that I found to be especially useful is putting everything on wheels, because as you can imagine, that bandsaw there in the corner, that pretty big bandsaw isn't going to be much use until it can be moved out. But it really does make quite a small space much more usable. And if I just flip around here, also you'll see above, up here, is where we do our photography. So everything has to get wheeled out of the way, and that's our backdrop that we use for all of the photos that we take of guitars when they're finished. So just carrying on a little bit here. There's my view, where we just were, downstairs. And a little thing of note here, which I'm sure my dad will appreciate me pointing out, is this little marker tree that he did. So the Turnstone bird, which is what the company is named after. My dad, getting into marquetry in his retirement, has been very kindly produced this for me, which stays in the shop. A closer look at my bandsaws, and then moving on to the buffing station area where I buff all the finishes to the guitars. And you'll see that all these pipes are leading to ducting, which is dust and general nuisance materials to get out of the shop as much as I can, because obviously I'm in here all the time creating a lot of dust. So wherever I can keep it as clean as possible, I do that. And they come in most Madonna there, her last great album in my opinion. So with the pillar drill, yep, that's the one that's been with me since the start. And then this kind of, so that was the machine area. This is more the hand area, where we've got the workbenches that Carl and I built, with a bit of a downdraft table there. These are some necks that I'm currently working on, which I'll talk you through later. So whizzing over to the consumable area, got some sanding discs, clamps. Luthiers can never have enough clamps. And they're just some of mine there, and also can never have enough glues. If ever a luthier says, I've got enough glues, they're lying. So we've got epoxy, super glues, hide glues, spray glues, pretty much some French polish there as well, a little Indian dude. This is my tea station, which, because I'm English, I'm genetically modified to have a greater appreciation of tea than other members of the planet Earth. Woodstock poster, which I was very fortunate to take part in the year before last. My books, which I kind of keep if ever I'm having a question in my mind that I need answered, I'll have a look at my books. So here goes the gimbal. Have a look there, referring to my books. And then up here we've got some more of the power stuff, some routers, router handles, drills, all that kind of good stuff. My drawings, my plans of the guitars that I've designed. There's Workshop Buzz, prominent person featured within this workshop, general quality control, hard taskmaster, overlooker of all things in the workshop, looking down to my go bar deck. Some more clamps. This is a sharpening whetstone, which its leather side fell off a long time ago, which I no longer use, but the stone side I do find extremely useful for rehoning and sharpening my chisels, blades, and kind of all that good stuff. So that's about kind of the circular tour of the shop. This is my, what I like to call my luxurious bench, which you can often find Michael Watts sat on when he's coming to demonstrate my guitars. And that's about that. So I thought I'd give you a quick look at what we've got planned coming up here, because you can probably see that everything's getting a little bit cramped in here. So the opportunity to move back into my old workshop came up. So I decided to take that, and I'll take you through now. So this is also just kind of the outside space outside my workshop, which we're going to be using as well. Probably going to make like a little office area by the door, a little meeting space here for if people want to come and visit me. Oh god, there goes the gimbal again. Toilet, you can tell, and this is where I've always kept my wood. I like to call it my wood store. I won't really turn the light on in there because at the moment it's not that tidy, but generally that's where all the wood gets kept. And this is kind of a bit of an open space as well, which I'm planning on putting like a setup bench here, so when I'm setting up the guitars, that's where that's going to go. And this is my old workshop. So when I first moved in here, this was the space. It was actually a bit more rustic looking when I was in here before it got plastered. So yeah, we're moving back into this space as well. So you can maybe see from the markings on the floor, we're trying to work out the best way to do this. This we're hoping is going to become a walled off spray booth area. And this side will become a bit more of a hand tool room. So I'll bring my tool wall from next door and put that in here. And then next door is going to become more of a dedicated machine room. So lots and lots of work for us to do. So hopefully we will be progressing with that nicely. And exciting times. So I thought I would give you a little bit of a run through of the stuff that we currently are working on at the moment, and I have 4 guitars that are currently being finished, but they have had a bit of a halt put on them at the moment because the spray booth that we rent at a different place has been temporarily closed because of everything going on. So they've had their initial coats, but we're hoping that maybe my neighbour who has a spray booth next door might let us use it so we can finish them, but as yet they are still in process, but I'm more than happy to show you where they are at the moment. So this is a TG model. It's also an E series, which means that it's made all out of English wood. Florentine cutaway. This is my largest model. I've got some lovely English black walnut on the back and sides, which I've also used for the binding with a bit of a trim, which is London plain, around the mitering, around the cutaway. And yeah, so this is actually a Cedar of Lebanon soundboard, which is a new soundboard wood that I'm currently experimenting with. So it's been in general super interesting to start to use English woods and see what's appropriate for use in different parts of the guitar. And I'm just going to put that there. So here we have the neck for this guitar, which is showing a lovely piece of English flamed sycamore with a laminate of bog oak with a veneer in the middle, if you can make that out. The bog oak is also used on the fretboard and the back of the headstock, and the front is the same wood as the back and sides. And the green, so this is my headstock, which signifies the Turnstone bird. And on this one in particular, because of the kind of greeny hues of the soundboard, the goldy greeny hues, which I've complemented doing a little scheme in the rosette, I've also used green veneer for the wing and body of the bird, which I thought was kind of cool. So here is the second guitar. This is what I call a TS model. It's my smallest model. And on this one, I'm using a lovely ribbon grained padauk on the back and sides, which is just popping under finish. And I've got a little bit of a detail here using elm burr, which I've also used in the rosette and on the end graft. So this guitar and the previous guitar were being built for the Holy Grail Guitar Show, which was scheduled to happen in May. So as yet we're not sure whether that's going to go ahead or not, most likely not, but so that's what these ones were intended for. So we will carry on and hopefully have them up on the website when they're ready and get some demos done so you can see them. So that is, yeah, so this one also using a similar trim, the lace wood, but with a bit of black veneer around the binding, puduk binding as well, which I think kind of makes it look a really nice touch. And here's a look at the neck. We've got a slotted headstock, which I love to use. I've just written a blog about that, which I'll put on my website soon. Mahogany neck, ebony back veneer, ebony bridge, and fingerboard going on this one, and some nice little copper side dots, as you can see. So guitar number 3 right here is a multi-scale instrument, again based on my biggest model, the TG. This is an E-series guitar, so again all of the woods on the guitar are made out of English grown timbers. The top being English, beautiful piece of English yew, and the English grown black walnut on the back and sides. London plain trim around the black walnut bindings. And in the rosette, this is something that I've done several times for multi-scale instruments, is kind of reflecting that fan movement into the rosette and also into the headstock. And the woods that I've used on this one is the bog oak, black oak, comes under numerous names depending on what you want to call it, but most famously known as bog oak. And that is mixed in with some beautiful spalted beech, which you may be able to see there. So that is reflected up into the headstock, which you can see here. Same materials used there, and also using some spalted beech on the back of the headstock. This is an English walnut neck, which I've used for several guitar builds previously. It's fantastic neck wood. And bog oak fingerboard bridge on this one, so really excited about this guitar. Can't wait to have the opportunity to string it up, and in case you hadn't already noticed, this has actually got a satin finish on it. This is going to a customer in the UK. So last but certainly not least is guitar number 4, which is currently being finished as well. TG model, E-series once again, with a beautiful piece of English yew on the soundboard. This time this has an equally visually stunning piece of English walnut on the back and sides, and on the binding we have some flamed grain sycamore. The rosette has the same wood as the back and side, so the English walnut, simple, nice round rosette there. Moving on to the neck, we have some lovely flamed ash, and headstock is again reflecting the English walnut, which is on the back and sides. This one also has bog oak, and it's a left-handed guitar, so I have been reminding myself all the different parts of the guitar that are back to front because it is left-handed. So I also just finally thought that I would take you through a couple of things that I'm doing at the moment, and I've just started 4 new builds. They're all going to be my biggest model, which is TG, and first up we have a European spruce soundboard, which is going to be paired with some Coco Bolo. So for those who aren't luthiers and may be interested to know that this is generally how soundboards and backs and sides get sent to us in 2 parts, which is usually a book match pair. So as it sits in the tree like this, it will open up and that will give you the best mirror reflection, not the way that I've drawn it, there we go, the best possible mirror reflection of grain, because that's the way that it will have sat in the tree. And that is one. Another one is going to be a multi-scale instrument with some lovely flamed redwood for the soundboard. Again, finding the right orientation for the board. It's been a while since I've used redwood, so I'm really excited to use that again, and that's going to be teamed with African renge back and sides. which has a really, really nice bright ring to it. So I think I'm really excited to see what those two sound like together. Thirdly is going to be an E-series guitar, similar to one of the ones that I was finishing off in the current finishing batch. This is going to have a lieu soundboard, and that's going to be teamed with some English walnut back and sides. You can see a bit of the sapwood running through there. And lastly will be kind of a E-series hybrid, so some English woods, some more traditional woods. So for the soundboard we're going to be using some alpine spruce, which I don't think you'll be able to probably see in the light, but it's got some really stunning what's called bear claw figuring. Kind of looks like a bear's been scratching at it, but it's just an effect of the spruce, the grain in the spruce, and that's going to be teamed with some English apple. I don't break it. Some English apple back and sides. So lots of stuff going on, and I've also been started work on the necks of those, and we've got two ash necks which are in slightly different stages of development here. A mahogany neck that I was just working on this morning, putting on the headscarf, so that has been spliced onto the underside, and that will be a case of me profiling that to bring it down to thickness and then adding on the heel block. This is an English walnut neck, which is in the stage just before the last mahogany neck, where the headstock still needs to be added on, and then the block added on at the end. So I think that pretty much wraps up my little shop tour and the things that I'm up to at the moment. Luckily at the moment I'm still able to come in and work, because as you saw there's not very many people around, and I'm isolated here in my workshop. So obviously sending out all my best wishes to everybody during this time and those not able to work at the moment, and wishing you all the best, and hopefully we'll get to see each other again sooner rather than later. So thank you very much, and see you soon.